Welcome to Serbian Language Broadcast. In this particular video, we're going to talk about my favorite words in Serbian. Let's get it. One of the coolest things about language learning is that you can actually learn words that exist in different languages that don't actually exist in your own. What a fascinating concept that is. We forget that words are actually symbols. There are so many symbols, things that we think or want to say that our own unique languages and our native tongues might not be able to clearly articulate or haven't identified as a sentiment or a possible experience in the same way that other languages have. I first thought about this concept when I was reading an article about dolphin trainers. And they were talking about how they utilize hand signals to train dolphins. And I was going, wait a minute.
Dolphins don't have hands.
It is incredible what the thinking mind can do when it really wants to learn something, and it might not even possess the entities or the characteristics of the thing or the person that it's learning from, and yet it can still learn. Wow. We have so much to learn about neuroscience, about our capabilities as people through language learning, and I think that learning a foreign language is a great way to expose yourself to this concept. So we're going to talk about my 5 favorite words in Serbian. And a few of these words actually apply what I just discussed. They don't actually exist in the same way in English. In this way, it makes language learning one of the best things you can do for your mental development and your ability to look at new things in a completely different light with greater appreciation and less judgment. It makes you a better person. So let's begin. My first favorite word in Serbian is actually a verb, and it's kafenisati. Kafenisati means to go have coffee. Literally, if we were to make it an English verb, it would be to coffee, right? We don't say that in English. We don't say, hey, let's go coffee together. You do say that in Serbian, and it's really cool. So if you wanted to say that, you could say, pa ajde da kafenišemo bre, or da li hoćeš da kafenišemo? And I think it's such a wonderful word, the verb kafenisati. So that's one of my favorite words in Serbian for sure, and you're going to hear a lot of people utilize it, and I think you can really just internalize and appreciate why they made that word, why they made that a verb, and an action verb, to go coffee. That's one of my favorite words. The second would be the word ajde. Ajde, there's no real literal translation for. It can mean so many different things. If you ever watched some of the old school mafia movies, one of which was like Donnie Brasco, in the film, the main actor talks about what is the term forget about it? What does that mean? And the main character in the film begins to explain all the different things that forget about it can mean in the mafia. Well, ajde, and that's probably not the best example because I'm not trying to compare the word to a mafia term, but the word ajde, for example, can mean let's. It can also mean come on. An example would be ajde da kafenišemo, like I'd given you the example before, let's go coffee together. Or if somebody says something to you and they're like, you know, hey, I'm trying to get ready, I'll be ready in a few minutes, you can say ajde. Like, all right, come on already. The third word would be the word važi. Važi would mean like okay. So you're talking to somebody and they're agreeing with you or they're explaining something to you. Važi, važi, važi. And it would be a way of saying, yeah, okay, okay. My fourth favorite word, again, it's a verb, and that's the verb umeti. Umeti means to know how to do something. And again, what a short verb. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. In English, we have to say to know how to do something. You can get all of that across as one verb in Serbian language. Very, very specific. Perhaps there is a word in English that maybe I don't know or I don't utilize often that also expresses that same meaning, but it's not one that we use with the kind of frequency that you're going to see it used in Serbian. You're going to hear the verb umeti all the time. An example would be, ja umem da pričam srpski jezik, right? I know how to speak Serbian language. Or umem da to uradim. I know how to do that. These are some examples of how you could utilize the verb, but just notice just the richness of the language. Saying things like to go coffee, an expression of a little bit slangy but utilized all over Serbian all the time, like ajde, or saying okay, važi, or umeti, which means to know how to do something. This is a very rich and layered language. One of my favorite things about Serbian is that it has richness and that depthness to it. The last word I would say is one of my favorites is the word super. Now we, of course, in English use the word super all the time too. Of course, the R pronunciation is a little bit different. Perhaps you heard that. In Serbian, it's super. And English, it's super with a hard R, the classic English R. But you're going to hear that word a lot in Serbian, and it just means great. We don't really say it in the same way. You wouldn't say, hey man, it was a great football game, and now we're going to go over and have a beer and talk with the guys. You wouldn't say super. I mean, you could say that, and people would know what you meant, but it'd kind of be it'd be different. You'd be like, oh, this guy's creative, you know, if you were to say that. In Serbian, that is a very standard response that you'll hear very often. If somebody does something, to je super. But there are some words in English that are carried over into Serbian and have been transformed. And that's a beautiful thing too, to see countries take words from different languages, apply them in new ways or really fun ways that might even exist apart from where they derive from. So those are 5 of my favorite words in Serbian. And again, those 5 words represent to me why language learning is so important and just how powerful. Our minds are like electronic switching stations. And perhaps, who knows, one day we'll have the verb kafinisati too in English language. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. What is your favorite word in Serbian language? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you don't know many Serbian words, what words would you like to know how to say in Serbian? Thanks again for watching. If you like this and you found it to be helpful, give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next broadcast. And thanks again.